real stories meet real conversations. From business breakthroughs to personal pivots, we're digging into what's driving change and what it really takes to lead. Now, here's Jennifer Bardo, Kelly Chandler, and Michael Chandler.
Welcome back. You're listening to Elevate and Lead on the Lou Information Station, live on demand on louinfo.com. I am Jennifer Bardo, joined here with Kelly Chandler and a few new guests today. Mike's not going to be able to join us today. So what's been going on, Kelly? How was your Christmas?
Made it. That's what all I can say.
Survived.
Last week we were on the show. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen between now and today? And
you didn't have anything wrapped.
I had nothing wrapped. And then we cranked, and unfortunately we had like cleaners scheduled. Nope, they were sick. So Mike and I had to like really bust our humps.
But didn't you dress up as like Aloha or something like that?
With the Chandler side of the family, because it was so warm, we went with a Hawaiian theme, which was hilarious. Yeah. We had a Santa with shorts on, trunks on. Mike wore a ride along, those costumes.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, I had on like a muumuu, with like Hawaiian flowers, and we got everybody red and green lace. So it was kind of fun, just to mix it up. But I mean, the weather was crazy.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Yeah.
How about you? How was your holiday?
It was nice. It was kind of a mix. I was hanging out with my boyfriend's family, and then I hung out with my family. So just a low key Christmas. And then I got the boys, and Santa came at my house, and it was just a lot of fun. So.
Like any gifts that you got or gave?
I didn't get any gifts. I bought a lot of gifts for myself. I gave a lot of gifts. Yeah. My 8-year-old got a computer because remember how Mike was talking with Jim how he recycles all the computers.
Yes.
And I went and get 3 computers from Jim.
You did.
So now my 8-year-old has a computer, and they all have their own computers now.
That's cool.
So thanks to Jim Old Dawson.
Yeah, that's awesome. And where was that again?
His location's actually out in Festus. So they recycle, refurbish, whatever you want to call it, but electronics.
Yeah.
So I was able to get a MacBook and then under $1,000.
Yeah, that's
incredible. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I think it was 1,000, might have been 1,500, something like that. But 3 computers. Yeah. What about you? What was your best gift?
I'm trying to think back. It's such a flurry of activity. I ask for the same thing every year: workout clothes and like PJs.
Yeah,
that's about what I got. It was fun, and Mike always makes special gifts. He's very crafty. He made some stuff in Florida. We have some of the sand, and he made a wooden memento that of every place we went, which was really cool. He gave us everything.
That's really sweet. That's thoughtful. Cool.
Well, today's episode of Elevate and Lead is brought to you in part by Merrimack Outdoors. St. Louis, want a backyard paradise next summer? Talk to Merrimack Pools and Outdoors now. Merrimack Pools and Outdoors is a family-owned St. Louis business helping families do the most in their backyard. From pools and patios to outdoor kitchens, fire features, and even sport courts, they'll design and build the perfect retreat for relaxing, entertaining, and making memories. With free on-site consultations, professional design, and over 25 years of experience, Merrimack Pools and Outdoors will bring your vision to life. Start your backyard transformation today at /stl.com. All right, today we are honored to introduce the one, the only Dave Greene from the Lou Information Station. Dave, thank you for joining us.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Here. Yeah.
I didn't have to go far to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Did you just want to take over because you're the pro?
Far from it. No, it's fun to be here. I am a big fan of the show, as you know. I love seeing your guests each week who come in, some who have been experienced broadcasting, done this a million times, and then there's Bethany who's looking at me like, what am I doing here? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's great to see you guys. Thank you for having me. I am honored that you asked me to be a guest.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to put our voices on the radio and create Elevate and Lead. It's amazing.
I appreciate what you guys do. It's very much a part of, what I had vision in my head is, and as I kind of joke, you guys bring in a lot of guests into the studio, and I enjoy meeting them and hearing their stories and hearing about what has made them who they are, right? I think that's the most important thing. And I use your show as one of the examples when I talk to people about the radio station. We've been doing this now for 6 months almost, and you've brought in that time, maybe 20 different people into the station, most of which I had never met before. some I reacquainted with, some I had known, but it had been a while. So it's always cool to see new people come in and, like I said, tell their story. And I'm interested to hear what Bethany will tell later on. I know her very little, but I'm interested to know her background, what led her to doing, what it is that she does.
It's wonderful. So obviously you have a plethora of background in radio and media, but for those that don't know you, like how did this all get started? How did Dave found this station?
Yeah, so it was an internship when I was 19 years old at, of all stations, 590 is what started, my whole career. I was one of those kind of lucky people where I always knew what I wanted to do. I like to always say I'm really only good at two things, and that's talking and eating. So a career in sports media was what I had set out for. I originally wanted to be a play-by-play announcer. That was my goal. And I had the opportunity to do it, and I didn't love the travel. It was a really weird feeling when you were on the road. It was fine because there wasn't really anything that you had to do. But when you were at home, you wanted to be at home, and most of the time you were thinking about when you had to leave next. That travel schedule. I know people hate to hear about it because, for example, a Cardinals broadcaster, right? Dream job. It's not easy. And again, I know people are going to go, well, no, you get to call games. The schedule's not easy. The life is not easy. You give up a lot to be able to do those kinds of jobs. And that I wasn't interested in that really once I got into it. So I did some on-air work and then realized that wasn't my future and got into the business side really early and young. And I love the business. I love, as I said, hearing people tell stories. I love entertainment, right? I'm a nerd. I'm a radio nerd and kind of always have been. And I actually believe in what radio was originally, a voice for the community. And I'm a big believer in that. And so I my biggest goal now is really to kind of keep a lot of that alive while also moving into, 2026 and beyond. So yeah, it all started with an internship here and pretty much been my life for 31 years.
Incredible. How do you pick the different guests and the different shows when you're designing the whole week's calendar? How does that all come about in your head?
Yeah, so some of it at the beginning was about what the vision was, and that vision was to speak St. Louis, right? And I feel like to do that, you have to have young, old, right? You have to have male, female. You have to have diversity, right? You have to, there was somebody right when we started said, oh, why would you have that person on? He's a blank, blank, blank. And I was like, because I don't know how we truly represent St. Louis without having blank, blank, blanks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like fill in the blank, whatever that is. So it's trying to, find a way to give voice to some people who people have always known. And I think they're really good at what they do. But to me, almost more importantly, are, like I just talked about, you guys bringing good St. Louis people in to tell their stories. Local media is heading one direction, and that's national, right? It's big media is what they call it. And I'm a big believer in the exact opposite, small, local community.
Yeah, and I know for a little while you're doing a little kickoff of really focusing on like local musicians and local talent. So where does that passion come from, featuring all the local artists that we have here?
Again, it's really just the things I'm most interested in are sports, music, and business. Yeah. And so are a lot of my friends, as I get older. Again, obviously, a lot of my background was in sports radio. And we used to say for years, sports radio is like a couple of guys going to a bar, hanging out. Okay. Well, I don't really go to bars anymore, but I used to with my buddies. And guess what? We never stood around and just talked sports.
Yeah.
Right? We talk life. We talk about what's happening with us, or as you get older, your kids, or whatever it may be. But people don't just talk about one thing. It's easier to explain what we're trying to do if I use a music station. So you all have your favorite music stations, and you've had them in St. Louis for years. And what were they? Classic rock or soft rock or country, one format, one type of music. My favorite FM radio station in St. Louis is The Arch. What's the format? There isn't one, right? They play 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Today, there's no format, and it's because of this, right? The phone and podcasts and, our old, iPods and all of that, because we can pick better music for ourselves than a DJ or a music service can. So when you look at music, I equate that to talk and say, why do we just have to talk about one thing like sports or, I'm all about, let's talk about St. Louis. And there's a lot of things that go into talking about St. Louis, but those three of sports and music and business, I'd throw food in there as well, probably as my fourth. That's what I'm interested in. And I feel like a lot of people are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've had an array of guests in those industries. I don't know about sports yet. I'm trying to think back, but we've pretty much tapped into all of that.
It's been so wonderful to expose a lot of the people we've had on. So it's vice versa. We've had people on the show that have never had this experience. So I think it's wonderful that you offer this as an opportunity for them to, grow and expand and say, oh yeah, I've been on a radio show, a podcast. I think it's incredible what you're doing to provide that format for people. And I love that you are taking a broader approach, because it's much more interesting. We don't have to say, oh, we're just going to stick with
just business,
one thing. And it's been, like,
well, last week we had Carlos.
Yeah.
He's been blowing up my phone. He can't wait to get back in the studio and open up his own podcast.
Oh.
Like, he had such a good time.
Yeah,
and by the way, Carlos, if you're listening, my four women at home, my wife and my
Do
three
they love
daughters, destroy that cheesecake. Wow, was that good?
Delicious, right?
Really.
And now you know where you can find it. Any
Sweet cheese.
guns, troubles,
right. So it's that example. That's just one of many where so many even cross collaborations have occurred we've never thought of with our organization. So it's been a great opportunity. Thank you for allowing us to be part of it. And we'd love to hear maybe how it started and where the vision is for 26.
Yeah, I mean, the vision for 26 is just to continue to grow it and to add more to it. I didn't anticipate that we would be doing, for example, as much as we're doing with high school sports. As I look at Brody Herman here in the studio and Ryan Swingler, who both do different things with high school sports. Ryan's in with Earl Austin Jr. on Saturdays. He does a show talking about high school and local sports. Brody and John Huff from GSV just started a show that airs on Thursday or on Fridays. That focuses on high school sports. We've done games that, again, there's nothing more community, right, than high school sports. And it just kind of gives you that idea, but it's more of this. It's more of growing in taking a niche, right? Business, leadership, the things you guys have done a great job of talking about, and just diving into it, right? You guys have had some pretty vulnerable conversations with, with people about where they came from, falling down, getting back up. I'll keep going back to it. I'm a big believer in stories. For businesses, I think, and I've sold advertising for 30 years, the best way to promote your business is to tell the story, right? People want to know who you are, especially if you're local. There are a lot of people who prefer to do business with local people, but they need to know who's local, right? They need to hear your story. And the word podcast is a big part of my world, and it became a big part of my world in 2015. So I've been at this now for over 10 years. I think everyone should have a podcast in a sense. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right. It's a great marketing tool. I'm always introducing everybody to you. I'm like, yes, you need a podcast.
If you have an interest, and it's fairly easy to do, and if you need help with it, call us. We'll help you. But the idea of being able to tell your story and to tell the why behind it, and this is something I actually do know about Bethany, and I'm sure you guys will get into it, but she has a why, and unless she has the opportunity to really tell that story, she could be just another person from her very big St. Louis company,
right?
But she isn't. She has a passion for something within that business, and so that's what I think is cool, is just to let more people tell their stories. And so whether it be in high school sports, or whether it be in business, or whether it be in food or music or any of the other things. Tony Patrico does his show, Sounds of STL. On Wednesdays, he only plays local artists. He got an email from a guy, and think about this. This is 2025, right?
Right.
Almost 2026. The term AM radio is not big in the music community, right? This guy's music was played on Tony's show, and he sent him just an amazing email, because I would never think about it, but you seen it in movies and stuff? That band hears their song on the radio for the first time and
Super
somebody
cool.
talks about it.
Yep.
That's an opportunity he's giving local artists on Wednesdays. When I hear that show, I actually get emotional, because to me, it's what I sat around and thought about and said, that's what I want. I'll tell you one other thing and then I'll stop talking. I mentioned Earl's show on Saturdays. So Earl Austin Jr. talks high school sports, and one of the things he's been doing is bringing a lot of teams in. So a coach will come in and bring a couple of players in. The coolest thing in the world is when I'm sitting in my office sometimes on Saturdays and I hear the kids leave the studio and they're all talking about the experience they just had, texting their friends, calling their parents. Did you hear me? That was awesome. Blah, blah, blah. My heart melts.
Yeah.
I know it's a little strange, but that gets me, because I love being the one who kind of helped provide that opportunity.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Especially at that age group. I mean, how often do they do that? I know it's getting more common, but still, it's not something you get to do at that age. You just don't.
And that's it. And the whole difference of what we're doing is that, yes, we originate from AM radio, but those kids knew us from the app, from what we posted on social media, right? To them, it's a whole different, that's great, because today you have to be in media. You have to be everywhere everybody is.
Yep.
So it's, I call it pop first mentality, right? The idea that you guys are going to take one break in this show. The segment's going to be the show's going to be 2 25-minute segments. That's someone's podcast day. 25 minutes to work, 25 minutes home. They've caught your whole episode whenever they wanted to listen to it. That's the idea.
It's incredible.
Thank you, Dave, for that background and the opportunity to be a part of something much bigger in St. Louis. It's been a lot of fun.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate what you guys have been doing. And like I said, the people that you've brought in, it's been great to meet them. And I look forward to hearing your guests today.
Well, today's segment was brought to you by the Morgan Pinnacle Group. CEO doesn't have to just meet the chief everything officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides flexibility, U.S.-based executive support, so leaders can focus and grow. And instead of getting buried in the tasks, learn more at mpgstaff.com. And we will be right back. You're listening to Elevate and Lead.
The Lou Information Station, a whole new way to enjoy content created just for those of us in the St. Louis area. It's a whole new way to advertise and promote your business. Reach out and find out just how different we are. If you're tired of one-sided advertising offerings or your traditional media rep trying to shove digital marketing down your throat, visit louinfo.com and click on advertising. Or email partnerships at louinfo.com for more information.
You've been strong for everyone else, but let me ask you, who is strong for you? I am Jennifer Bardot, radio personality, author, and publisher, and the founder of Grit Association, which stands for Growth, Resilience, Intention, and Tenacity. What is Grit? Grit is a movement, a sisterhood, a space where ambitious women grow, lead, and thrive. This isn't just leadership. This is transformation. Grit is your circle of fire, where comfort zones get shattered, where stories become power, and the next level becomes your new normal. From our 7 international anthologies that elevate women's voices to my radio show, Elevate and Lead, on the Lou Information Station, everything we do is about your rising, your voice, your power, your people. Are you ready? Join Grit. For more information, visit mygritcommunity.com. That's mygritcommunity.com.
louinfo.com news headlines. Brought to you by Brown & Croup. GetBC.com.
With your LouInfo.com news, I'm Jared Cirillo. A South St. Louis County man is facing criminal charges for the stabbing death of his grandmother. 37-year-old Ronald Allred is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action for the death of 81-year-old Fanny Allred. He's also charged with 2 counts of animal abuse for allegedly stabbing his grandmother's 2 French bulldogs, who are expected to be okay. A St. Charles County judge who wore an Elvis costume to court on Halloween has now been removed from the bench for misconduct. That's the ruling from the Missouri Supreme Court for Judge Matthew Thornhill. The ruling is not about the Elvis costume, however, but for repeated partisan political comments in court. Metro Transit is preparing for the unexpected surge in riders during the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in downtown St. Louis next month. More than 60,000 fans are expected to visit the region during the event, January 4th through 11th. The Lou Information Station is streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. I'm Jared Cirillo.
Now, LouInfo.com weather, presented by STL Sports Central. St. Louis sports, anytime, anywhere.
Here's your LouInfo.com weather update. We're in the mid-30s for the afternoon high today. We will have some lingering cloud cover, but no rain or snow expected. Clearing for the overnight hours, a little bit breezy, and we're in the low 40s with sunshine and a few clouds coming up on Wednesday. Got a good-looking New Year's Day coming up, some sun and some clouds, and 40. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton for the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com and the free Lou Info app.
You've been strong for everyone else, but let me ask you, who is strong for you? I am Jennifer Bardot, radio personality, author, and publisher, and the founder of Grit Association, which stands for Growth, Resilience, Intention, and Tenacity. What is grit? Grit is a movement, a sisterhood, a space where ambitious women grow, lead, and thrive. This isn't just leadership. This is transformation. Grit is your circle of fire, where comfort zones get shattered, where stories become power, and the next level becomes your new normal. From our 7 international anthologies that elevate women's voices to my radio show, Elevate and Lead, on the Lou Information Station, everything we do is about your rising, your voice, your power, your people. Are you ready? Join Grit. For more information, visit mygritcommunity.com. That's mygritcommunity.com.
This is Mizzou wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr.
And I'm Mizzou linebacker Josiah Trotter.
When we hit the field, we have each other's back.
And off the field, we got James Carlton, State Farm covering us.
Thanks, fellas. Nothing beats college football season, and nothing beats saving money. Just by getting a quote from our office and mentioning Mizzou, we'll make a donation to support Mizzou's will to win push on your behalf. No strings attached.
So you're supporting the team just by checking your rates. Doesn't get any easier than that.
It's so easy. Check them out online at cartoninsurance.net. MIZZOU.
When it's time to bring the energy, don't fake it, fuel it. Drink Thunder is the all-natural, plant-based, fruit-based pre-workout drink that gives you real results without the junk. No sugar, no crash, just clean energy, powered by nature, and loaded with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to help you perform at your best. Go to drinkthunder.com and grab your favorite flavor: orange, mango, blackberry, lemonade, or strawberry cream. Drink Thunder, the clean way to power your workout. drinkthunder.com.
Spotlighting the people and ideas reshaping how we work, lead, and live. Back to more of Elevate and Lead with Jennifer Bardot, Kelly Chandler, and Michael Chandler on the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
Welcome back to Elevate and Lead. This is Kelly Chandler, joined by my lovely co-host, Jennifer Bardot. Mike is not with us today, but he will be back next week. We had a great first half of the show with Dave Greene, who founded and runs the Lou Information Station. That was really a lot of fun to hear a little bit about his background. Very entertaining. You can tell that he has a lot of radio experience, loves to talk, and we love to hear from him. So,
and what a radio voice.
Yeah, he's got the perfect voice. You know,
yeah.
Like in the beginning, do you just want to take over?
I know, seriously. Tell us what to do here.
We're just playing radio hosts, right? So before we jump into our guest today, we want to thank one of our sponsors, Morgan Pinnacle Group. You didn't become a CEO just to be the chief everything officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides U.S.-based executive support for the work that eats your time and energy. Operations, marketing, finance, legal research, content creation. Start with as little as 10 hours a week and scale as you grow. If you can't find the perfect full-time hire, Morgan Pinnacle Group builds fractional teams across specialties. And when you're ready for a long-term hire, they can help with that too. Schedule a quick chat at mpgstaff.com and buy back your time with Morgan Pinnacle Group. Thank you, Morgan Pinnacle Group. Mitch Morgan, I know you're out there. Thanks for your time, energy, and sponsorship of the show. Well, I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer to introduce our lovely, wonderful guest who is also a sponsor of our
Yes, she
show.
is. And she's a member of Grit. So joining us today is Bethany Schell. She's a financial advisor at Edward Jones. Bethany, we're glad to have you with us today. And for all of our listeners meeting you for the first time, well, how would you like to introduce yourself so they can learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah, well, first of all, like listening to Dave, this is completely new to me.
Yeah.
Hearing his radio voice. But I'm a financial advisor at Edward Jones. Oftentimes people say, well, what the heck does that mean? Why does this matter? But really, what I do is I help women and families make financial decisions they feel confident in. I have over 25 years experience in the industry, both on the corporate side, leading and growing and developing our branch teams, and also to become a financial advisor myself. So I've had experience, like I said, in reading both strategy, but also a lot of our training and development. And I just kept seeing such a great opportunity to work closely with individuals and have a real impact. And while I thought my work was really important with what I was doing, the impact I could have working with individuals and really building that financial confidence and that financial knowledge is ultimately why I made the decision I did. And I always talk about why I do what I do, which is a combination. One, the impact to the community and individuals I can work with and the clients, but also my family, my girls in particular. Finance is not something that's talked about often, and especially not with women. And we shy away from it. It's a little taboo. And in my family, we really didn't talk about it growing up. I don't know about you guys, but you talked about money, but you didn't talk about investing or saving or what debt looks like, good debt, bad debt, all of those things. And then you become this adult and all of a sudden you're supposed to be able to manage it.
Right.
And it's overwhelming and we make some bad decisions, which is what happens in life. But I just feel very strongly that the more we can help others understand and educate, they can make decisions that feel more aligned with their values.
Well, I love that you are a trusted advisor, and even Dave picked up. He knew that you knew your why. And the moment I met you, I knew your why, because you're very focused on helping women and helping them understand finances and never making them feel less than for not understanding the finances.
Absolutely.
Breaking it down so it's understandable.
Yeah, we have to go simplicity.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great point. I grew up with a banker for a dad, so I knew about finance, but only because of that.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege. It's just, if you would have been a doctor or something else, I wouldn't have had that input about investing, et cetera. So I do understand what you're saying. It is very much a gap for others that don't grow up in that type of environment. So I can see where, and schools just don't do enough.
Right.
They just don't.
No.
We talked about this on
Oh,
multiple
absolutely.
shows.
Yeah.
Why aren't we teaching these life skills, right? So it's great to know that you identified these gaps and you're really focusing on making it better for women in particular to make sure they can
But
take on
families
this
for sure.
role. And families, of course.
And we love education. It's actually something I've been doing a lot of when I get the opportunity to go out to school, start where they're at and start to educate. And it's a lot of fun. I know.
I just think it's so important. I too had a mom in finance, so we talked about money, and she was generally, she'd take care of all the finances. And then when I joined, and I actually joined Enterprise Bank and Trust, my whole focus was focusing on women and minorities, because it did seem as though that was just an area that needed a little bit more support, like at least in what I had experienced when I was, in the banking. Yeah. So it's wonderful you do this work and you're so dedicated in helping educate, and now the youth too. That's cool. Yeah. So many people feel overwhelmed when you're first starting about your financial future. What are some simple steps that someone can take to help them feel more confident or like more in control?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about starting small. So like I said, simplicity over complexity. So half of it is understanding your current financial situation. What does that look like? What are my bills? What are my budget? And then setting small goals. So oftentimes, especially young investors, but not limited to, even just thinking about what an emergency fund should look like and setting that as a goal and working towards that. I always say that it's really about confidence and and striving for progress, not perfection. A lot of these long-term things take that time, and it takes the habit and the behavior to get there. So really, again, just starting small. It's all people often finances and mindset. Really go into it when you think about what you don't have. That's exactly what you start focusing on versus what you could have and where you're headed.
It has to be challenging in this day and age with the me, like right now mentality, especially with the youth. That's what I see. And it's like trying to, and even in myself at times, but especially the younger generation, it's kind of like, whoa, giving them that long-term focus. I love how you point that out. This is the long game. Like this is a marathon. It's not a track meet kind of a mentality. You're going to have to be patient. And so I love that approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're talking about those habits. Can you get in a little bit more detail of what those daily habits would look like if you really wanted to be financially savvy?
Yeah, and you're making it small things. So I talk to people about save first, then second. So even if it's just that you've automated the way you're approaching your finances, right? So I'm automatically going into my retirement, my emergency fund, etc. And awareness, looking and having awareness of what's going on in your finances. I'm not saying you need to be an expert like myself,
right,
in the finance side, but if you understand where your money is and what you're doing with it, even those habits will help create more sustainable.
Well, I know as you make different transitions with your career, like you have a 401k over here, and then everything gets moved around. So it's so essential to keep your eyes on where all your money is and put it all together. I love that you do that, and you don't expect your clients to be that expert. You just help educate them on how to stay on top of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Part of our job is behavioral coaching, right? Helping them
Right.
understand here's the things to do, not necessarily having them pick out all the individual investments or check.
Yeah, be that day trader.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
Wolf on Wall Street. I think I would lose all my money.
I actually just watched that over Christmas break for
Yeah.
some reason. I have no idea why.
It's so
but it was
funny.
good,
Was that the first time you'd seen it?
no,
Oh,
but
okay.
it popped up on my Netflix.
It's a great
so
movie.
why not?
It is
Yeah.
good.
Great movie.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about this before, but your life changes, your financial change. How do you work with the individuals and families to adapt those plans when things like that happen?
Yeah, and to your point, life is dynamic, right? And there's a study once that I read that someone goes through 62 different life transitions that can impact them financially.
Wow.
Some large, some small.
Wow.
So, but when you think about that, you think about the big, the marriage, the kids, divorces, right? Those are obvious ones. But even small things, career changes, that is going to impact their overall financial picture. So it's a couple of different things, really. It's understanding that it's a process, not a one. So I have regular conversations with my clients, and I set that expectation up to at the beginning. I expect this of you as a client, and this is how we're going to connect. So we consistently are, one, looking at how we're doing, but checking in on what's happening in life, and then we adjust our strategies from there based on what's going on.
It's incredible because even, as an example, my dad who started a bank had plans to sell at a certain time, which he did 2020. What happened in 2020? Everything changes, right? So you can plan, tick, tie, everything, and then boom, something huge happens, and you're completely thrown off guard, and you have to adjust almost on the fly in some cases. So I mean, I can completely understand. 62 though blows my mind.
I know.
Yeah.
When I saw that number, I was shocked as well.
Yeah.
But again, it's
Like 2 a year? My
always-
goodness.
Yeah, that's right. Like, whoa.
Slow
there's
it down.
big ones and there's small ones.
And some of it's completely out of your control. Like what the markets can change, the political spectrum changes. We've got all these things that you just can't control. But
Inflation.
it's good to have that foresight. So, hey, I would love to know that at that age, like the young age. Hey, guess what? This could happen 62 times or whatever it ends up being for you, and you have to be able to adapt. I think people think there are maybe 2 or 3 life changes like that: kids, marriage, that type of stuff, divorce, whatever it is, but not those micro, what I would consider like more micro changes that you do have to adjust for.
I mean, even your values change in the
Sure.
transition, so your goals change. What you're trying to accomplish.
And when you get closer to that end game, like getting there a
Intensity.
little closer,
Yeah.
it's like real, like, oh, what do I really want out of retirement? Do I
Right.
actually want to like watch my money grow, or do I want to use it, spend it, experience it?
Right. Give it
there's-
away. Right.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
give it away, plan. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, you're thinking short term, long term,
Right.
medium term, legacy.
Legacy. Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. So for those people that are like newer at investing, what are some like micro concepts or misconceptions that people, can clear up early on?
First and foremost, oftentimes people make investments. And that's just not true, right? We all need to be considering some opportunity to be in the market for that longer term growth, or we won't do that, right? That's just reality to that. Additionally, it's about time. It's not about as much about the time as it is about the decision to do it. So timing the market, things like that, is way less important as actually getting in the market and consistently doing those things. And then risk doesn't mean losing everything. So oftentimes when we think about investing, it is scary for many, especially if they're not exposed to it, and it feels like we're putting everything we have to risk, but we really can't control that risk intentionally based on your comfort and the way you want to approach your overall goals. And then again, I've said it before, but just simplifying everything and building confidence versus the complexity of what can be out there.
That's awesome. I think those are really good tips. And I hopefully people that are listening right now will be more eager, more interested in actually exploring investing if they haven't already done so.
Part of that is getting them to trust you and build those relationships. And so what do you do? What qualities do you feel are important when you do find someone to help you lead or help guide you to make those decisions?
I feel like this sounds really cliche, and I almost hate when I say it, but it is really about trust and transparency. So you really have to have a relationship with the individual that you can have a conversation back and forth, and you are able to extend that trust to the individual. And you have to feel like you understand what's going on. Again, you don't have to be an expert, like I mentioned, but you do need to feel like I understand what Bethany's doing when she and Beth and I might hear why we're doing those things. So that overall transparency into the strategy and investments that we're making and ultimately those goals. For me, it is really just getting to know the individual. So understanding why they're doing what are their values. The first conversation I have with an individual has very little to actually do with finances and more about them, what they like to do, what their family was like growing up, what their family dynamics are now. We will talk about what was money like growing up, which is at the beginning. Understanding financial decisions they've made that they felt confident in. A little bit of shame to help us make sure that we've got an understanding relationship and then the goal of our strategy and how we approach it.
Now, for those people that think they know what they've done and they think that they're doing the right thing, how do those conversations happen when you have to kind of clean out the the blind spots of how they could improve or do better?
I mean, that's our job. It's to assess the risk of the overall portfolio and overall strategy. It's the most important part. So oftentimes we'll get into a conversation when we're looking at everything on financial results. We just have to say, okay, how do you think you're doing? It's also congratulations, you've gone this far.
Right.
Right. So let's start there, and then here's what we're going to do next. And again, break it into small things. Right. We're going to make this small adjustment and look at what that does over here. I find visuals, obviously, we get those definitely help. Right. How am I impacting my overall goal? And what small changes can I make to accomplish that?
One thing I thought was neat, this is kind of slightly off topic, but it was a financial advisor tried to get the kids involved. So they picked things that the kids really enjoyed. And one example is, okay, this is what you enjoy. Let's invest a little bit of money in like Energizer because you like to play games that require battery. Like it was just a neat approach of it, obviously with the financial acumen going behind the correct stock. And I know you're not sitting there picking stocks, but it was just a neat way to get the kids involved. Yeah. So I like getting that personal level and getting people engaged. And I also love what you just said about understanding more about their background, and it helps you inform as someone that's guiding them how they make their decisions before giving them suggestions. It might like hook them in a little bit more and get them to buy into something that gives them more intrinsic value as an investor. I think that's a wonderful approach. So you use an established process at Edward Jones to help identify goals and putting that strategy in place that you talked about. Without giving any advice, can you walk us through some of the general steps of that process?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit of what we've already talked about, but think about it this way. Number one is understanding what's important to you. So what are your goals? What are your values? How do we make sure we understand that component before we do anything else? For from there, we start to say, okay, based on that, where are you? What have you done? Have you started a 401k? Have you been investing for a long time? Are you completely new to investing? Because understanding that financial industry is step number 2. And then that's where we start developing those personal strategies. So we start saying, all right, well, here's where you are. How do we get there? And can we get there, right? Essentially. So we start building out those strategies. And then we start putting that plan into place. So, all right, we're going to have a monthly contribution to XYZ, and that's going to incrementally move that needle for us to get there. And then it's like constant evaluation. We go right back through that cycle yearly with our client. So, all right, what have we done? Where are we at? What's the next change? So the goal is to have like transition. And then let's start reevaluating the overall process and where we're at today. That perspective look, especially like, okay, what do we do that maybe wasn't so great, or what was
Right.
the, I think that's,
Fine
you don't talk
tuning.
about that a ton. You
No.
kind of always look, okay, what do we do next? I love that because you learn from those discussions a lot.
So you have a wide audience of entrepreneurs and leaders here. And for financial habits that you've seen the trend to help people and help them stay grounded and focused through the busy seasons for life and business. So what are those financial habits that you've noticed that you could share with our listeners?
Absolutely. So I think it's a couple things, especially for those that are business owners, particularly that you're on. It's separate business and personal. So if you are running a business, make sure that you have those and you're running those for clarity in different ways. Automate. Automatically start doing the things you start doing, so you don't have to think about it quite as right. All of us, we just talked about the holiday season. I think earlier I heard you mention we didn't have anything wrapped. Right. Then we're not thinking about, well, then how much am I putting in my savings right now? So it's getting those things and then schedule those check-ins. Whatever that looks like. Some people, depending on their financial situation, it really looks like yearly with a check-in, but for more complex, it could be as much as every other month. So we're looking at how far is but getting those on the calendar and making it just part of it. Right.
I think those are great tips, especially for busy entrepreneurs and leaders that don't take the time to, automate. It simplifies everything. I remember when auto pay just came out for bills. I was like, this is amazing.
Yes.
I don't need stamps anymore.
Right.
Checks. And it's a cost savings too.
100%.
So
Yeah, that is awesome. Not having to worry about the stamps,
Oh my
like
gosh.
getting it in the mail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nice not to have to worry about that stuff. And the automatic savings is great. It's just discipline. It's just put your money where your mouth is.
yes.
It's such a simple thing. Yeah. Honestly, it's really hard to control. Sure. Yeah. And one thing that I think was the best advice was when I was young, just starting to work and just express scripts. My dad was like, max everything out, do all for everything you can do to max yourself out while you're young.
Absolutely.
You don't have all these other expenses. You just have to have that discipline. And it is amazing how, because you forget once you get used to the paycheck, you just put that out of your brain. You know what I mean? So that was really, really good advice. And we've tried to pass that along to our boys as they've gotten their big boy jobs, like max that out because you'll get used to your take home pay and you won't have to worry about it. And you show them those the trajectories over time, that the marathon, the track meet, it is pretty cool to see what they can build at such a young age if they start young. Absolutely. The compounding interest. Yeah, right. That to your point, you can show them visually. Like, here's what you could be by doing X. It's a very compelling, especially for younger generations.
And breaking the habits of living paycheck by paycheck, teaching them that savings mentality. My dad was always like, you eat what you kill. So like whatever you're making that year, you save it and you spend the money from the year prior. Like you never want to spend everything you're making because then you can never get ahead.
It's so easy.
So it is so easy to do.
Mike and I had massive credit card debt when we were younger because you kind of you're like, oh yeah, I'll get there, and then
I'm going to
something
Europe.
happens. Or, it just and then you end up being stuck in that rut until you finally realize, oh my gosh, we have to be disciplined with what we're doing. And even with our kids, I'm like, nope, let's just keep the debit card for now, so you know exactly what we're not messing with the credit cards, and because I can just see it happening. It's like, woo, I mean, it's just that discipline. It's super easy without the habit of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Bethany, it's been amazing to have you on as a guest. And I was just wondering if you have any other guidance or tips and tricks that you can share that you've learned on your journey that have helped you kind of grow and become who you are in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the financial aspect, we talked about setting small goals, looking at some regular check-ins, understanding your financial picture is extremely important. But I would even challenge people to be comfortable asking. Again, we talked a little bit about when you're not exclusive. I do think it's such a taboo subject.
Like the word bankruptcy, like that, when you say taboo, like that's what comes to mind, right?
People just hear, even just, talking about investing or talking about our financial situation. It's like really good at that table.
Mm-hmm.
So start really young. I, constantly am trying to introduce it to my kids. I'm not totally sure it sticks. When you sit and think about some of the things we talked about. But I also think that then just on the flip side, not exclusive to financial, but just with my career and overall trajectory, it has been just a matter of being willing to and try different things, and be willing to accept the opportunities that are presented to you, and think about what your future is. And I know you see that often, but where do I want to be? Again, financially, we can talk about, well, I want to retire earlier. I want to do these things. This is what it takes to get there. But how do I want to live my life?
Right. And even getting the kids involved and like having them involved in the conversation is amazing, because I know like every birthday, holiday, 529 plans, my boys have that. So we're always talking about that. And the whole goal of that is so then they won't have to pay for college, or they can use it for whatever they want.
Sure.
But yeah, getting them involved in the conversation.
And that doesn't happen often enough. It really doesn't. Early on, conversations will understand.
Right, because when they get $100 for the birthday from grandma, let's not go spend it on Legos. Let's put half of that in the bank.
Exactly. We had to do that with Bodie, our youngest, because he the second he gets it, bam, bam. And it'd be on like the junkiest plastic, whatever, just anything he wanted. And so at this stage in life, we're like half in savings, half. Go, okay, you can spend some money, you've earned it, because he is working at a young age. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You should earn. You should do a little bit of what you earn, but you need to have that discipline. You have to. Right. And so it's like, okay, half your, and then they get that habit. So it's just such a good.
I just always have those conversations like, here's how much your cell phone costs.
Yeah.
So they can have perspective, right? And then otherwise you have no other concept of money when you're little. Exactly. I'm like, you're going to have a car soon. You need gas money. You better start saving.
Insurance.
Right.
All the
Gas
things
money, insurance.
Yeah.
The boring on your car.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
And it might be the younger kids because he has money and he's already spent more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
I do get that. Something about the older kids.
It is. And there's a comedian out there, Nate Bargatze, talks about, the oldest one, like the guinea pig, and then the youngest one lives in houses they never even saw because, the parents have gotten to an established point of their life. The younger one's just like, oh yeah, they're best friends, they can cuss in front of each other. It's the whole, I just point this skit to you guys. It's really cute. It's talking about the oldest versus the youngest. And we've got a 9-year gap between the oldest and the youngest. So, it is very different.
Yes, totally.
100%.
That's so funny. Well, cool.
This has been a wonderful show. We appreciate you coming to join us here live in the studio and your sponsor. That means a lot to us.
Huge.
It allows us
to
do.
Yeah, thank you so much. I remember when you first came in and gave your speech, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Now you're pro.
Oh no,
So,
this is
you
so very
are.
comfortable.
Thank you. And it's one of those opportunities you probably never would have done it. So back to Dave and everything that he's doing.
That's very cool. I love the community. I like being in it. Yeah. So when I saw what you were doing at Generation Shadow, it was a no-brainer.
Yay.
That
well, thank you for your support.
And do you have an office, like a specific office, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah. Talk about you.
Where
You are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're in Olive. We're at Olive and 270.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a nice area.
Yeah, we love it. Our location, we've only been there about a year and a half. So we're Edward Jones, especially if you're from St. Louis, you've seen us all over. Yeah. We are a little bit newer model, and there's 6 financial advisors in our office. We all have our own book of business, but we're able to share in real estate and share a little bit different.
Is that a trend across the nation, or is that just something that you could presented itself here?
So Edward Jones is evolving the model. far as that goes and giving you different options. And so I would say that's still early on. I don't know if parts of Korea across the country is adopted, but in St. Louis, we are one of the largest.
It's like a shared co-working, but amongst the Evergreen folks. So I like that approach. Very cool. And that's a great area. It's very busy. You have plenty of restaurant choices. and that type of stuff, so that's
no
good.
complaints there at all.
Well, thank you to Dave Greene, who was on with us earlier and providing his insight, and our special guest today, Bethany Schell from Jones. It was wonderful to have you. We next week are going to have Lindsay Hermes in from Biospan. It's a really incredible product that she came to us through Betsy Cohen when she was on. Gosh, Betsy was a few months back and recommended.
She's
Lindsay.
one of the first.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So Mike will definitely be here for that one. He and Lindsay have done some work behind the scenes, so that's pretty cool. We again want to thank everyone for listening, and we will be back next week. You've been listening to the Information Station live and on demand at .com.
Joined now by the boss, Dave Greene. Dave,